Okay, so lovely to see you all again, and thank you for joining me. It's been quite a week, I have to say. It seems to be incredibly intense at the moment, and the energies are certainly ramping up. I've been feeling, I suppose, a quickening is the best way I can describe it in my energy. And I don't know if any of you ever have that experience when there's a shift in the energy or when there's a dramatic download where your whole body seems to vibrate. I find it quite disturbing. It's a bit like a car going really, really fast and then slowing down and then going really, really, that's how it feels in my body. It's quite uncomfortable at times, but yeah, so there's obviously a big shifts happening in the energy, and we're also having more solar activity. So there's some solar flares happening at the moment. I think there was one yesterday or the day before, so that's going to impact us in this coming week. And the outlook for this week is kind of looking pretty positive. I have to say I was a little surprised at how positive the energy is looking. The one thing that came through that's very clear is that there needs to be a deeper communion with our soul and our own inner wisdom as this energy starts to quicken and starts to move quite quickly. And I think that's because on a subtle level, there is this real push for us to start taking action. And I know I've spoken about it before, but action is going to become incredibly important. And that action that is required is the action that we need to take to start aligning our lives with our greater soul purpose. And I've spoken about soul purpose before, and how it is something that we live out every single day. It's not a title or a career path. It is who we are and how we live our lives in this world. And at the moment, there are shifts and changes that we're all being called to make. A lot of those shifts and changes are urging us to expand our lives in more ways than we have in the past. So we may be called to do things that kind of force us out of our comfort zones, force us out of the way that we've done things in the past. So it's about finding new ways of doing things, which is incredibly exciting, but also a little bit overwhelming. There have been, I've got a to-do are a lot of things that you're going to find are coming up.
Kate, you're freezing on us.
And to take action on. And this week, particularly, it feels like there's this real need for us to step into a space of faith and trust. And the kind of faith and trust that is required is that childlike faith and trust. So we're needing to almost allow ourselves to feel or remember what it feels like to be open and trusting of life and open and trusting of the path that we're on. I think for many people, myself included, life has thrown us some serious curveballs and some dramatic challenges. And as a result of that, there has been a little bit less faith and trust in life and in how life unfolds. And I remember a few years ago deciding that I just needed to put my head down, not think about the future, not think about where I was going, what I was doing, or what I was wanting to achieve, and just do the work that needed to be done on a day-to-day level. And as a result of that, I inadvertently shut down my creativity, which was difficult at the time because I like to be creative. I like to create new things. Everything that I do has a creative element to it. And for any of you that have seen my website and newsletter, you know, all of that is done by me. I don't have anyone else doing it. I had, in the beginning, in about 2005, I think it was, when I got my first website, I had someone else do it and they couldn't do it the way that I wanted them to do it. So I taught myself how to design websites. And it's one of the things that I love doing because it gives me a creative outlet. And I'm excited because I'm in the process of designing a brand new website. So that'll be launching in the next couple of weeks. And you'll get to see what I've been up to. But one of the beautiful things about this time is that it feels like the lid on our creativity has been lifted. And so there's this new energy that is coming through that is really, really urging us to be more creative in our lives, in the way that we do things, in our work, whatever it is that we are engaged in. There's a creative element towards it, which is exciting. The flip side of that is that there is also the feeling or the doubts that we have about ourselves and our capacity. So, you know, yes, there's this on one level, there's the excitement of the possibilities and what we can achieve and what we can do. And on the other side of it is all the things that all of those self-doubt feelings, those feelings of unworthiness, those feelings of not being good enough, those feelings of I can't do this or I don't know how to do this. And those things, as they surface, need to be released. They come from a different time in our lives. They come from a different part of ourselves that actually no longer even really exists. They're almost like the shadows of who we used to be or how we used to be in the world. So we need to face those shadows. We need to reintegrate those parts back into ourselves and allow ourselves to become stronger and to allow our energetic field to become stronger as a result of that. When we push these shadow parts away, when we push these parts of ourselves that are seemingly negative away and suppress them, we actually suppress a source of our own energy. So we do need to lift them to the surface. We do need to allow them to arise so that we can stop them from sabotaging or impacting our lives in a negative way. And this week, there seems to be this kind of bubbling of emotional things that need to be looked at. And from the perspective of being able to take action in our lives, what stops us from being able to take action? What are the fears that come up when we are needing to engage in new things? What are those subtle, I suppose shadows is the best word I can use, those subtle shadows that get in the way of our vision and get in the way of us actually being open and trusting and having faith and trust in the goodness of life. I certainly lost faith and trust in the goodness in life in my life, in this lifetime, probably in others too. So that is something that I've had to overcome in myself. And I am naturally an optimistic person. So I'll be the one that always looks for the silver lining in the dark storm. And I'll always be one that finds the positive in the negative. Much to the admiration of, I think, a lot of my friends and family. But it's important that we start to do that, because although the world is in turmoil and chaos, there are some incredible opportunities for all of us. And once we start looking for those opportunities and start taking action on the pathways that they are opening for us, the more we're going to be able to expand into our potential and what we are capable of in this for the rest of this life. And it is the rest of this life. There is, and I think Elizabeth spoke about it last week, about when we're moving in, when we move into Taurus, or the sun moves into Taurus, there is going to be this real need for us to ground what it is that we're wanting to be doing. So I'm feeling that this energy that is shifting and this energy that is coming in, it is essential that we ground it through our physical bodies by taking action. So you will need to find ways that enable you to ground what's coming through. So there could be a lot of activity around your head. There's a lot of thinking. You may find that your dreams are pretty wild at this time. That can be also quite normal. And it's important that we get that energy out of our heads and into our bodies. So you will need to look at what you can do to ground. Simple grounding techniques are being outside, being in nature, connecting to the earth, really feeling in your body physically. So doing some form of physical exercise will be key, because this energy is fast paced, and you will need to, in order to utilize it and to work with it, you will need to anchor it within your physical form. So make that a priority this week, particularly because as we move more and more into May, the energies are going to increase, and we're going to need to be fully present, fully grounded, and fully prepared for it. We've got a full moon eclipse this month, so that's coming up. That should be interesting. So those kind of that eclipse energy is coming in, and we need to work with it so that it doesn't cause any major disruption or discomfort. I'm just looking at my notes to make sure I'm covering everything in the right order, rather than jumping all over the place. There's also this, and this is also for this week. So alongside the grounding and being present, there is this need for us to start to look at our lives in practical terms. So what are the practical changes that we are needing to make? What are the practical shifts that we are needing to make? I've spoken about this in the past few weeks around routine and how we need to shift up and change up our routine so that we're not doing the same thing at the same time every single day, because that actually also limits us and blocks us from being able to access what's coming at us. So I'm also seeing this real need to be able to be practical, to look at life, to look at the changes that we need to make from a practical perspective, and not from a practical perspective of saying, well, I don't know how I'm going to fit this in, or I don't know how I'm going to have the time to do this. Take away the negative thinking, or take away the limiting thinking that comes up when we look at making changes, and just trust that you will have the capacity to do whatever it is that you need to do. Because the energy is so intense at the moment and so fast paced, we will do things far faster than we have done in the past. I know for myself, there have been times where things seem to drag. I seem to drag myself through my days. That seems to be coming to an end, and we are able to operate at a much faster pace. So trust that you're able to do these things and to make these changes, and that you will be able to do things far faster than you've done them in the past, which for me is exciting, because I generally tend to operate at high speed and get incredibly frustrated when everything else operates at a lower speed. So I'm certainly finding that these energies are supportive of that operating at a high speed. And also the practical aspects of things is also around how do we utilize time? And if we can imagine that time is just a human construct, it doesn't actually exist in a universal sense, that we have just created time in this reality so that we can experience what we need to experience and learn what we need to learn and grow through, I suppose, the limitations that time brings. And at the moment, we're able to actually navigate time in a new way, which is quite interesting. And I'm finding, and you know, that's perhaps why I was ready for our webinar half an hour before it actually started. It could be that time is taking on a new meaning. I'm not normally late for things, but I'm never really half an hour early for things. So there is this this new relationship to time that we are being presented with. Lynn's just written, I've noticed that when we do things in the present moment, things seem to go much more smoothly. I agree. And Nancy's written, I agree. I'm much more focused on keeping things in the now moment. And Elizabeth's written, totally relate to the time thing. It's evaporating. Yeah, it does seem to. Yeah. Yeah, I'm certainly finding that I'm achieving a lot more in the day than I have before, and it's different. It's certainly different, and a little weird. Okay. And the last point I have here about, and it relates, I think, to this month. So May is going to be a really empowering month. And it is important that we harness the energy of this month and utilize it in positive and life-affirming ways, rather than squander it or waste it. So you will find that you are far more focused, you're far more driven, you're far more capable than you have been for a long time. So that's exciting, and I like that as an energy for the whole month, rather than just this week. Anyone have any questions or anything else they'd like to share?
Hi, Kate.
Hi.
Hi. What I've noticed as we're going deeper into May, we had Pluto retrograde hit this week with the full moon, which is a really heavy deal. And what I seem to be noticing very acutely is that when I'm in the right place, I feel full of life. And when I'm in the wrong place, I feel like I'm going to die. And it literally is as dramatic as that. I literally feel like what is coming at me will kill me off. Like I lose the will to live very quickly. And I have to really gather myself and go, no, this is, you know, you have to put distance. You have to put distance. This is an illusion. Just see what it is for what it is. You know, not that I thought I was dying, but it's got that feel to it that it could seriously kill you off. It's soul destroying stuff. And I've really noticed that with the Pluto retrograde thing. So lots of praying last 3 days, and basically I was told to go up to the Akashic Records this morning first thing, so I went in, and I got given some direction that is really radical. It's against what everybody else is saying. It's against what everybody else is going to probably do. It's going to take a lot of courage on my part, and yet it feels the right thing to do. Yes, there will be a death. That's Pluto to get the transformation. But oh my God, the prayer I do feel was answered. So it's been dark and dramatic, but I think, we're finally coming into some clearing. So I don't know whether you're feeling it to that intensity as well, because
it's interesting that you say that. I was listening to a podcast about how a lot of us are in the state of fight or flight currently, and that we feel that we are in I suppose that extreme feeling of I'm in danger or I'm going to die is the extreme state of that. And it's as a result of the heightened sense of fear and anxiety that sits within the collective. And what I'm finding is that when I'm feeling into the collective energy, that panic and that anxiety rises. And when I step, or just, it's not that you can step away from the collective, but when I become conscious of it and feel and pull my energy back towards me, then I settle back into that space of kind of peace and calm. And what is interesting is, and I spoke about it a couple of weeks ago, about how we are needing to implement some form of spiritual practice that supports us at this time, particularly because the kind of central nervous system within each of us is being triggered. And so we need to find ways to calm that down, and things like being in nature, meditation, yoga, those kind of things support the system and help the parasympathetic system to calm and to step away or out of that space of fight or flight. Mm-hmm. And in fact, there are actually three aspects of it. There's fight or flight or freeze. And I alternate between fight and freeze. I don't tend to run from things, but I can definitely freeze and I can definitely fight. Mm-hmm. So we are needing to work with this with ourselves from a physiological space as well, to be able to calm the system down. Mm-hmm. And I think it's incredible that you're getting such an extreme reaction, because it really shows you where not to put your focus, where not to be, and to rather stay away from those spaces or those people that trigger that response in you. And I think as we come out of, I think a lot of people, especially in the Northern Hemisphere, where summer is coming, hopefully, and you are wanting to spend more time outside with people, socializing, there is going to be this need to be very conscious of the environment that you are stepping into and what energy you're connecting with. Because we have been in a hermit type phase with lockdowns that has enabled us to really connect with ourselves and to become reacquainted with ourselves. And stepping out into social situations can now become incredibly overwhelming. And we need to be careful of that overwhelm, because for most people, when they're overwhelmed, they just leave their body and they exit until they feel that they can come back again. And that's not what we need to be doing. We're needing to be present. We needed to be embodied. And so I think that's an important point, to be aware of where we are placing ourselves, where we are putting ourselves on a physical level, and how we respond and react to that. I'm certainly very conscious and careful about where I go, who I'm engaging with, particularly at the time, because I'm almost finding everything that I'm going through is incredibly precious. And there's some beautiful shifts and changes that are happening, and openings that are happening within me that I don't want to shut down because I've put myself in a situation that makes me uncomfortable. And I think with Pluto retrograde, it's a beautiful opportunity for us to be shown what needs to be let go of, what needs to die, and what needs to be reborn. And for some of us, it's our entire being that is being reborn through this Pluto retrograde. So we've got, I think it's 5 months until October. Yeah, we've got 5 months of Pluto retrograde. So it's certainly going to be an interesting 5 months.
Kate, sorry, I'm back. I've missed a couple and I'm still catching up with your recordings from the beginning of April. But it's so funny listening to what you have to say, because when lockdown started last March, which is 14 months ago, I'd split up with my partner and I found myself completely alone. And it took me a little while to adjust to my own company and just be completely isolated. And in the UK, there was a easing of lockdown 2 weeks ago. And everyone was very cock-a-hoop about, being able to go outside of their homes because it was like freedom. And on that day, for the whole 14 months, I've been under the threat of redundancy because we weren't furloughed. So financially, it's been very difficult. And the day we came out of lockdown, my colleague and I won the most enormous contract for BBC One, which means that we're relocating to Glasgow. We have to make 25 programs by the middle of September. And what was so weird is you go from 0 to like 180 miles an hour, which is my general MO. And when I heard the news, I cried all day. I was so overwhelmed. I couldn't stop the tears from falling. I didn't want that joyous time of being on my own to be disrupted. And it took about 48 hours for me to go from 0 to wow. And suddenly my days don't have enough hours in them. I can't get enough done. So I wonder whether also part of this energy shift is learning the lessons of COVID and the enforced isolation. And as things start to ease, I feel that I should be mindful not to lose some of the lessons of being on my own. But as I go into, crazy world, living in a city I don't know, employing people I don't know, working 20-hour days, is to hold on somehow to some of the things we learnt in lockdown. Because sure as damn it, I won't be calm until about October the 2nd.
Well, interesting that time is the whole of the Pluto retrograde.
I know,
period.
it's just the penny has just dropped.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think, Natascha, that's a really good point, because we've certainly been given a really profound time to reconnect with ourselves, and to remember what it feels like to slow down. I mean, I remember as a child, a year felt like 10 years. Everything was so slow. I was trying to explain it to my girls the other day about how, you would send a letter, and only if you were lucky in 3 weeks' time would you get a response to that letter. There was no instant send an email and, if you don't get a reply within a few hours, you're busy typing another one. Where, and I think that lockdown reminded me of that time I had as a child where everything took much longer. And I think that, again, it's back to those practices that we need to employ that keep us in a state of balance. So that, yes, there might be a lot to do, and yes, there might be a lot of things that are on our plate, but making sure that we take time out to reconnect with ourselves. And it doesn't have to be hours. It can just be 45 minutes, half an hour, where we sit quietly, connect with ourselves, breathe, focus on nature, focus on our physical form, bring ourselves into the present moment. And whether we do that at the start of the day or the end of the day is determined by you. I'm trying to do it at the start of the day, so I take that calm energy into my day rather than go flying into it like I'm used to. So I think that what's going to be important for you is to make sure that you have something that you do each day that reminds you of that space of peace and calm that you've managed to access through lockdown. Lynn's written, we have to be centered all the time, or else. We do. Faith has said, I find I'm at extraordinary peace with the idea of dying. Not that I want to go soon. Well, best you don't, because Nancy will be on to you. but simply am at peace with it. Metaphorically, death is part of our evolution. Yeah, does that make sense? Well, it makes sense to me.
Hi guys, I get the overwhelm because after being alone, as you know, for this whole time, this week I spent a half a day up on campus because I'm a notary and they were refi on the campus and whatever. So I was in with the CFO and the president and all, you know, after seeing nobody except on a screen pretty much, you know, and then going out to meet my niece, which is fine, you know, but it's back out in a restaurant kind of thing. And then there's been all kinds of drama. My cousin who had the stroke, we're trying to get a power of attorney going. And again, I'm a notary, so I'm the one who has to try to coordinate that. And so I told them we needed 2 witnesses, and you'll appreciate it if you've been on the last week or two, but one of the witnesses they got is the great love of my life from 50 years ago. It's now going to be the witness. And so I spent the week like looking in the mirror going, you know, I'm fat, I'm old, well, of course I'm older. I was 17 when I met him, you know. Anyway, but I understand because there's a part of me that just wants to stay here in my safe little house and not go out and start re-engaging, you know, with the crazy and whatever. So anyway, but at least I got my hair done, so that's something.
Exactly, and you're looking gorgeous.
Thank you. Thank you.
Kate, I had something similar yesterday. I was asked to come and help out at the big sports day of a club where a year ago I was the president of. And I went and did what I needed to do, but I felt totally disconnected from everything, as though I was observing myself, observing the people around me that I've known for many years. And it was like looking at some sort of foreign object for almost 6-7 hours the whole day. And I don't know if I put that down to the fact that I haven't been in groups of people that large for a length of time, or whether I can blame it on Pluto.
I think we can't blame it on Pluto yet. I think it's also, if you think about the incredible opportunity that we've had in the last 14 months or whatever it has been, and how much we've grown, how much we've changed, how much we've learned about ourselves, and how much we've learned about others. And I found myself being more and more the observer of both myself and everything else, rather than an active participant. And it's a bit of a weird feeling. And I think part of that being the observer is giving us the opportunity to look and see, is this still a space that I want to be in? Are these people or these relationships things that I still want to engage with? I think we've been given this time to reassess until, you know, and I think that the reassessment is going to continue, especially as we come out of isolation and become more and more engaged with the world. I think we're going to reassess things on a different level, because now it'll be a reassessment in the moment. We've been able to reassess ourselves and reassess our lives and make different choices for ourselves because of the isolation. But now when we re-engage with parts of our lives that we haven't engaged with, we're going to have to reassess, is this something I still want to do? Is this something I still want to be involved in? Are these people the people I still want to engage with? And I've noticed for myself, there has been this weird kind of removal of people away from my life, old friends. There's just been this shift that happened without any engagement from my part. And it's been interesting to observe within me that I'm not feeling a sense of loss with this. I'm just feeling a sense of that something has ended, and it's no longer a part of my life moving forward. And I think that perhaps in this Pluto retrograde, we're going to become aware of what has died. Never mind what is dying. I think we're going to become aware of what has died within us, you know, whether that be connections, whether that be parts of ourselves that we engaged with regards to other people, or even in relationships.
This is so helpful, because I've noticed recently, like Nancy, I've had to really re-engage on campus to an extent. I mean, like 9-hour days on campus. We were filming for an orientation video, and it was, you know, lots of people and lots of interaction. And I noticed a couple of things. One of the things was feeling almost as though this kind of interaction was swallowing me up. I mean, it was a kind of death feeling, like Elizabeth Rose was describing, and it was really frightening. And when I was able to sort of pull myself back into myself, I mean, you know, it took having to excuse myself and just simply go to the bathroom to take a moment for myself. What I'm realizing is that what is dying in me is a kind of aspiration or striving for things that I used to have that I don't want anymore. And I have a lot of work to do to figure out exactly what that means on a practical level, but this conversation is really helping me sort that out. But that swallowing feeling was really something. I mean, just like being consumed by something that I don't want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's an interesting space to be in, and I can imagine incredibly overwhelming at the time because it's been a part of your life for so long, and now suddenly it feels like it's killing you, which perhaps is also what we've been given as this opportunity in lockdown has been to be able to gather all of our energy back to ourselves, and recognizing now when you step out into those spaces, your energy is being drained. And so it may not necessarily be that you can't go back into that space, but more about how do you contain your energy so that you don't feel like you're being sucked dry and therefore dying. And I think we get used to just bleeding our energy out into spaces where we go to every single day. You know, we get used to our energy just being siphoned off or drained, and we don't notice it. But now we've gotten to this point where we are more energetically sovereign than we've been probably in a very, very long time. And so now you will be more aware of those spaces where where your energy is not contained. And so working on how do you contain your energy before you enter into those spaces, being conscious of that. And I think going to the bathroom to get away from that space is incredibly important. You know, just to step away, take a breath, bring yourself back into your center, and being there.
And don't go to the extreme that I went to. I just pulled myself right back and sort of disconnected completely, but carried on with the almost like a parrot going through the motions.
Okay, just jumping in. Hi. Hello. I felt really weird this week. I mean, obviously I've had a very relaxing week. I've been pretty much on my own quite a lot of the time. But I felt really lost, empty, not present. And I sort of thought I'd had this week where I could really sit, think, you know, work out so many things. and absolutely nothing has kind of come to me other than I end the day thinking, what on earth have I done? I haven't had any profound thoughts, and there's nothing feels like it's changed. And I suppose in a way I'm sitting here a bit disappointed, thinking it was the perfect opportunity, and it's just not happened. So am I just being impatient?
Well, Fiona, I think
I've frozen. Sorry.
You are frozen, but we can hear you, so that's okay. I think Fiona, also, you know, you're not in your normal space, so
have I frozen? Sorry.
You've frozen, but we can hear you. Can you hear me? No, you can't hear me.
I can't hear you now. If you keep talking, I'll listen to the recording later.
Okay. Well, what I was going to say is that I think that you've been away from your space, you've been out of home, and so therefore you've been disconnected from your life. And I think that there's probably some shifts and changes that are happening in you at the moment that are going to present themselves.
Kate, you frozen and we can't hear you. We've missed a whole bunch of stuff from you there. You froze on us.
Give me a second. Am I back? The internet gods are not my friends.
You're back. I didn't hear any of my answer though, Kate, but I don't know if you said something. I'll have to listen later.
I did. I had a whole lot to say.
Oh no. Is there hope for me? That's all I need to know.
Yes. I think that there's a whole lot of stuff that is probably shifting within you while you've been away, and you're going to notice how that shift manifests itself when you step back into your life again. You've been out of your life for this week, so I think that it's not necessarily a bad thing.
I'm quite keen to get back, actually. I mean, it's sort of, you know, when enough's enough. I mean, a week, usually 2 weeks is good for me, but after a week, I'm slightly ready to get back, but a little bit like everybody else is saying, I'm not quite ready for unlockdown on the 17th of May when supposedly everybody can go to restaurants and go out. So probably a good thing I have to isolate for 5 days. I can just hibernate for a bit longer. But I would like some profound change to happen or something, but I'm impatient like you.
Yes, I know. Me too. Well, I think we've got May to see how these things are going to manifest.
It's definitely coming.
I'm going to look forward to it.
Don't worry.
Yeah, you can fill us in when it finally arrives.
Okay.
I do feel a bit like, and Elizabeth, you can probably confirm this, I do feel a bit like everything's going to land somehow this month. And then we're going to have to try and figure out, you know, what's landed and what we need to look at and what we need to address. But I do feel like this week particularly, it's really about being grounded in this time as all of these things start to land, as they start to ground around us.
There are certain dates that are really pertinent for landing. So the 4th is one, 17th is another, 31st is another, because they're nodes of fate and destiny days. They're going to be massive. So the 4th, the 17th, and the 31st are all when the nodes are connected with. And so our destiny will go ping on those days. And we have to make the choice for it, but they will come. And then there's about 4 other days that are really big too. So there's a lot that is going to transpire and it's all quite evenly interspersed, but we're going to have to rhythmically go from one to another to another to another. Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks for that heads up, because the 4th is on a Tuesday.
Elizabeth, can I ask you what nodes are? What are nodes?
So the north node, so there's the north node and the south node of the moon and the planet, and they're just points. They're points that, for me, I believe that all the planets and all of the astrological, planets and asteroids and things like that, for me, I believe they're portals that download energy to us. So, and everyone's got its own speciality. And when the north node and the south nodes are triggered, it's really a purpose, a life purpose moment, a destiny calling moment. South node, the test, and that's where the eclipse is that, Kate, you're talking about. It's a south node lunar eclipse, so on the 26th. So the temptation will be to do what we've always done, like really massively, but you're not supposed to, in enlightenment, you're supposed to go from the south to the north. And the 4th, the 17th, and the 31st are when the north node comes to deliver some gift to us, but it's a stretch, it's a step up, it's a choice we have to make. So it's destiny calling month, really. Really exciting, but big. Okay, so that's obviously what I'm feeling into with this week. I mean, maybe today particularly, I felt that incredible download starting with my whole body moving and vibrating with it. So that's obviously.
Which means we must avoid the freeze and the flight or the fright at those points.
Yes, those things. Okay. There are a couple of comments about losing connectivity. I think it's me. I've been having internet issues for weeks now, and before, this is probably why I was half an hour early for our webinar, is that the internet started dropping at about half an hour before then. And so I was getting a little panic because I couldn't connect. And so it's not you, it's me.
Did you get rid of your 5G thing that was in your house?
Yes. And thankfully the technician didn't, he just looked at me and said, I understand. He didn't give me a mouthful of, thinking I was a crackpot. He just said he understood, removed it, and off he went. But now I'm trying to organize fiber rather than what I've got at the moment, because it feels like every time there's any kind of radioactivity or radiation coming in through these sun flares, my internet goes on a blink. Okay, any other questions?
Kate?
Yes, hi.
Sorry, I haven't been able to connect my face. I don't know what I've done today, but I can't seem to connect my face. Anyway, I have something, I don't really know quite how to explain this, but all this week, I mean, I really related to what people were saying about feeling lost and a kind of strange energy going outside. But I felt like when I'm in my home, everything feels normal. But when I'm outside, it all feels, reality just feels not normal, if that makes any sense. I just don't know how to relate to people anymore. That's really, really been something this week. It's like they all have a different kind of view of life that I just don't share. And that's made me feel very isolated and not quite knowing, because I'm a teacher, how I'm going to go forward with this. So yeah, just wanted to yeah, that sense of unreality has been very unsettling. Yeah.
I totally understand that. There have been times in the last few months, because, you know, as much as whatever you're reading on or listening to on the news, wherever you are, South Africans have just continued like there's nothing happening here. So, you know, our death rate has gone down, our infection rate has gone down. I mean, you would think that there was no virus in certainly where I live. And so there's a lot of people are out. It really is like we're back to normal. And I must say there are times where I having to go to the store or into a mall of some kind, and I literally feel like people live on a different planet to me.
100%.
Yeah. It feels like people live. I feel like I'm visiting a different planet.
Yeah.
And I spend my life going, what world do people live in? Because it's
absolutely.
And that's why I'm so grateful for you lot, because you all start to me. At least I have friends on my planet.
Yeah. Hi, Kate. Hi, everyone. Just in connection with that, one thought I had is that in this last year, more and more I've been connecting to people who speak my language, like you, and doing much more meditation, yoga, all the things that I know sort of nourish and help me. And so in some ways, that's why I think I feel more extreme when I'm out there, because, have those people been doing that? Or, how have they been filling their days? And I think it is that thing of, when we're talking about the systems, the fight and flight and the freeze mechanism, then the third one is the social engagement system. And this is the really important one, because if we can normalize our fight and flight, and if we can normalize our freeze, if we can manage them, then we can just be in our social engagement system. And really, that's us in our flow and being happy and being ourselves. And so, I think it's that new thing going out there, thinking, well, am I safe? Do I need to run? Do I need to freeze? Or actually, are these, can I connect with whoever it is? So that was just my feeling from listening to everyone there.
Thank you for that, Corinna. I think that you're spot on there. One of the things that I have tried to do is actually engage with people. So even though I'm stepping out into the world and I feel like, a bit like an alien, or I feel like I live on a different planet, I've tried, we're wearing masks, but I try and look people in the eyes. I greet people, even though they can't see. I mean, they'll see the wrinkles around my eyes when I smile. But, I've actually made an effort to engage with people, rather than trying to hide. And I felt that the more I do that, the more I feel some, not connection, but something. I can't even put a word to it.
Can I just say, Kate, because I totally agree. And when I felt in my flow and safe enough to do that, I've done that, and it's been quite incredible feeling the softness of the other, whoever the other is. And this week for me has been a massive week. I must say, every time I listen to you, I get quite sort of astounded by how on track I am with everything that you're saying. Because this week I've had to go through the whole, had I completely lost faith in life? This morning I was totally inadequate with everything, but it wasn't an inadequate that you would sort of really know. It was something so subtle and in there but still somehow I've got to find a way to sort of unlock it to be able to go on my next step. But this week I started my in-person sessions again, which was just phenomenal. I haven't actually been seeing clients I've been seeing them on Zoom, but I haven't seen them in person for a year. And the delicacy of that, and that just being present in another room with that person. And the two I saw on separate occasions are old clients. So, it was so deep. And to hear how they were feeling and how they were noticing themselves, it was quite phenomenal. So I really understand what you're saying, because it's almost like we're beginning to see the other again, and feel different with the other again. And yeah, I don't know, I haven't really got the words, because I think also there's so much going on that doesn't have words. I'm feeling feelings I've never felt before, or maybe I have, but I don't know where, or something. It's like, and so much is dying. I've died I don't know how many times over, but you just keep picking yourself up and going. It's like, oh, I'm still here. So it's wonderful to be here and be able to have these conversations that people understand what's happening with me as well. So thank you.
I love that. I think maybe that softening is the best word to use to describe it. There definitely feels like there's a softening. And I can feel that softening inside of me. And I'm wondering, as you were talking, I was wondering if it is perhaps that softening that is allowing those subtle things like self-doubt, the shadows that I was talking about earlier, allowing them to kind of surface so that we can be more compassionate with those parts of ourselves that still struggle, rather than, saying, don't be ridiculous, or being critical or judgmental with ourselves, but rather seeing them from a compassionate space and recognizing the need for us to give more to ourselves as a result of those feelings. And also, I think it's amazing that you are finally seeing people in person, because especially with old clients, because you do feel there's a strong bond. I know that with clients that I've had for many, many years, there's a bond with that person that you can't really explain. Being able to work with someone and observe the shifts and the changes and the transformations that they go through, and to be personally involved in those, is an incredible privilege. So to be able to reconnect with them in person must be really special. Yeah, I can imagine. Okay. I like that Elizabeth's written, we need to find our frequency tribes. Well, I think we found one here. We've definitely found each other here. Okay, so maybe we can move into doing some meditation, unless anyone has anything else they'd like to share, or any other questions. Okay. It's getting a little nippy here because we are heading towards winter, although it's been a beautiful day. So I'm just wrapping myself up. All right. So just allow yourself to settle into your space, get comfortable. And just take a deep breath and allow yourself to settle in. And draw your awareness to your breath. And allow yourself to relax. Allow yourself to let go of any fears, worries, or concerns or anxiety that you have at the moment. Just let it go. And just feel yourself being held in this space that we've created together. In this space where you can feel safe, where you can feel loved. Where you can feel accepted. And just allow your awareness now to drop down to your feet. Just become aware of your feet and the connection that you have to the earth through your feet. And as you connect with the earth, you'll feel a wave of energy begin to move through your body and being. A wave of love. A wave of support. And allow that energy to sit within your heart. Now move your awareness to the top of your head, to your crown. And through your crown, allow yourself to connect to the divine, to that source of all of life. And as you make that connection, feel a wave of love begin to move through your crown and down your body to anchor within your heart. Feel yourself becoming the point of that connection. Connecting from above and below. And allow yourself to feel the energy of the divine, the earth, as it merges within your heart center. Feel that love uniting within you. And that energy of love begin to flow through you and around you. Feel that love stabilizing you, calming you, and bringing you into a state of balance. And in this bubble of love, allow the shadows from within to begin to surface. The shadows of fear, anxiety, sadness, worry, doubt. Just feel them surfacing in your body. And allow them to be transformed and transmuted by the love that flows within you now. Feel those shadows being absorbed into the light of the love that flows through you. Feel the spaces where those shadows have been sitting, full with love and with the light of this love. Feel the spaces in your body that hold resistance, that hold fear, and allow the light of this love to fill those spaces, to transmute those feelings and the energy of those feelings. Allow the heaviness of these feelings to be lifted. Just become aware of those spaces in your body that need more love. The areas where we hold fear and anxiety, where we hold stress and tension. Focusing particularly on the solar plexus area, shoulders, your neck, your jaw, your lower back, hips, all those spaces that tighten up with fear, with worry, with anxiety. Allow them to relax and to let go of the shadows. To allow those shadows to be transmuted. And allow love to take their place. Allow yourself to remember what it feels like to be open, to be trusting, to have faith. To believe in the goodness of life. And as you allow those feelings to emerge, those feelings of faith and trust, openness, allow your energy field to begin to expand. allowing your light to expand. Feel yourself connecting with the light of the others in this group. And allow yourself to be held by the love that supports us all in this space. Allow yourself to feel what it feels like to feel supported. Allow your system to calm. Allow yourself to feel centered, anchored. And allow these feelings to move into every cell of your being. As these feelings move into every cell of your being, the memory of what this feeling feels like will remain for you to call upon at any time. When you are needing to bring yourself back into balance, when you are needing to bring yourself back into a space of centeredness, a space of calm, or a space of peace. Doesn't matter how busy life gets. When you are able to access this space, you are able to manage it all. Again, drawing your awareness down to your feet. Allow yourself to ground this feeling. Allowing yourself to maintain this state of peace and calm, centeredness, balance. Take a few deep breaths and just draw your awareness back to this space and to this time. Moving your fingers and your toes. And opening your eyes when you're ready. I never know what we're going to be doing in meditation. It's always a surprise. I hope you enjoyed that. I certainly did. Although I am feeling, that I'm definitely feeling my body and all the areas where there is some tension. And maybe we can carry that energy into our week and maintain some semblance of balance and calm.
Just going to say, Kate, I feel like I've got lead in my body. Usually I come out of these things feeling quite light, but I am so heavy. It's ridiculous. Is that a good thing?
Yeah, me too. I think we're really here.
I feel a bit drunk, actually. It's kind of weird.
Make sure you go and drink a nice big glass of water. That'll help. Oh, good. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. It is, as always, so wonderful to connect with you all. And I look forward to seeing you all next week and connecting with you in the week. Don't forget to find us on Mighty Networks. It is an app, and a few of us have found our way there already, and we're able to touch base during the week, which is lovely. So it's an app. You can download it in your app store. It's free. It's Mighty Networks, and just go and look for the Spirit Pathways community group and connect with us there, because it is great to be able to find out how everyone's doing. Jennifer, you haven't told everyone about, you had your interview on Thursday.
I did, and I have to tell you all that I felt your support, and I'm so thankful. It went well. There were a couple of questions that were zingers, and I had some of those moments where I felt your support, where I opened my mouth and said things and didn't know what was going to come out, but it was okay. It was very good, in fact. So thank you all.
Oh, brilliant. I'm so glad it went well.
Thank you.
And when will you hear? Do you have any idea yet? Or?
Yeah, I asked what the process would be, and they said they would be making a decision in several weeks.
Okay.
So this grounding and the taking care of and transmuting all those little doubts that come up, that was perfect. So thank you.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, we will. I certainly will keep you in my prayers, and praying for the best outcome for you, whichever way it goes. It will be the best one. All right. Thank you, everyone, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Have Have a brilliant week. Lots of love.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye, Nancy. Have a lovely lunch.
Bye, Nancy.
Almost
Enjoy.
there.
I
Thanks,
hope you're
bye.
meditating, driving.
Myself.
Meditating and driving. That's a new one, huh?
Well, we hope you weren't.
I was listening.
Okay, good.
I kept my eyes open. I thought it best.
I think that's probably best.
Yes. All right, everybody have a good week, and I'll see you on the app.
All right, wonderful. Thanks, Nancy. Enjoy your lunch. Lots of love, everyone.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.